Good afternoon. Welcome to today's special webinar on delivery console functionality. My name is Spencer Kilpack, and today I am joined by Wash Respis. Today we are going to be going over some new changes that are rolling out, some very positive changes that are going to be rolling out in delivery console in the very near future. And I will turn the time over to Wash here to get he'll kind of show us exactly what's going on here. If you do have any questions, I should say before Wash, if you do have any questions, you can feel free to submit any questions through the questions pane there on your webinar console. You can also click the hand icon to indicate that you have a question. We can unmute you. You can ask your question there. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Wash.
All right, thanks, Spencer. My name is Wash Respis. I'm a product strategist with Spot, and we've been working on several new things with Delivery Console. You'll start seeing those roll out over the next several months. The first thing I'm going to show you is one that we're excited about. And first of all, I think we have several of those folks on this call today. Thank you very much for helping us with our beta process. We really had a really good feedback from our beta group for testing this feature. They've been working on it and sort of fine-tuning the feature for the last month or so in their operations. So I've got a short presentation, just a slideshow, and then I can run through a quick video if we have time, or we just go straight to questions. So the first thing we wanted to sort of show, this is our sort of a new strategy at Spot. So we're going to have more of the processes where you sort of step through doing a typical interaction on the software platform with what we're calling a wizard process. So this is our first foray into this this functionality, and so you'll sort of be stepped through 1, 2, 3, and creating your manifest. When you select the current day, it will give you the available routes on that day. And then from there, you'll, if you need to select a different store, you can select a different store from the drop down, which is a little bit different from what we currently do. From there, it will go to what we call the manifest preview screen. And on the manifest preview screen, you will get information you haven't seen before from Delivery Console. You will see whether all orders for this customer are delayed or ready, and it will allow you to exclude from prepayment or exclude from delivery, or from being on the manifest itself. If you look down here, we'll look at Lucas for an example. He has no orders going out, but we're going to visit him because either he's a static customer or he is an on-demand customer that has requested a visit for this day. So if you expand here, you will see the invoices and whether they're ready or not. In this case, these two orders are not ready, and you can see the promise date on these orders. So orders will show on here if they're either in a ready state or they have a due date of today or any day prior to today. So orders in the future that are not ready will not show on this manifest. When you choose the orders to either include or exclude, if you try to exclude a customer that is scheduled to be visited today, you'll get a prompt and you'll have to an acknowledgement making sure you know you're going to take this customer off the list. So you will not be going to that customer today. Here are just a few more screenshots that sort of highlight, delayed orders, that whether they're ready or not, and just some of the stuff we've already covered. One of the other things I want to show you is we will be surfacing non-geocoded stops, and you will have the ability to edit those stops as part of the manifest creation process. When you do that from this screen, it actually will use a predictive lookup address and attempt to match the current address with that customer. We have a couple of other ways that you can look up, attempt to find non-geocoded addresses. I'll show those in just a second. And just so you're aware, we use Google's predictive API that doesn't always match Google Maps what you can find in Google Maps. And it's been a constant struggle for us keeping up with their updates, their API, and how they mismatch Google Maps. So we're continuing to work toward that process to make it better and better. But in this case, as we're creating the manifest, I just want to show you, if you have a stop that's not geocoded, you can edit it directly from the screen. From here, you can choose to optimize or not optimize the manifest, and you can choose the number of vehicles that you would like to have making this manifest. If you need to change the start and stop address, or the start and end address, you can do that also from here. Something that's new for those of you that use Route for Me, and just a little point of clarification, we're using Route for Me for optimizing the routes. That's our preferred provider. We still do support Telogis, but Telogis has announced an end of life. I believe it's in 2022. You will be providing more information on that, but I encourage you, if you're interested in optimization, Route for Me is what you need to be using. And just contact us at our sales department. They can get you set up on Route for Me. And it gives you a lot of power, the ability to split one manifest or multiple manifests over multiple trucks. So if you're interested in that, definitely contact sales for getting enrolled for Route for Me. A couple of other things I want to point out is that the PDF manifest right now is generating whenever we create the manifest. In the near future, you'll only see the PDF manifest when using Route for Me at the end, after you have gotten your stops in the order you would like for them to be. From here, I just want to show you an example how you can slide a customer up. If you've used Route for Me, you've probably seen the ability to reorder the stops. There's one thing I know about route optimization. No one's ever exactly happy with how the computer spits it out. And it does the best it can. And we're constantly staying up on the latest and greatest that Route for Me will offer us. And so this is one thing I want to make sure everyone knows. You can reorder your stops, and then when you reorder those stops, you go back and you hit accept changes, and you load those stops onto the manifest. And you can see in this case, Lockers was not the first stop, but I created it as the first stop by moving Lockers to the top. So if you look at, go back through my screenshots here, originally they were the 5th stop. I decided I wanted to go to them first. And so now they're the first stop in Route Track. And you'll see that the second manifest that has that new order has been downloaded for you to print out if you would like to print it out.
And what I would add to the Route for Me side of things, just the advantage that it brings is obviously with Telogis being marked for end of life, there's not a whole lot of updates coming to it either. But probably the two largest benefits are obviously, like Wash said, the ability to change the order of your manifest before you confirm and run the manifest, but also the optimization itself takes place in a fraction of the time that it takes to run it under Telogis. I know with Telogis it'll take, it can take up to 10 minutes for a single manifest, where with Route for Me it's darn near instant.
Yeah, thanks, Spencer. Thanks for pointing that out. Certainly appreciate that. So we have a couple of different ways you can update pin locations if the address you have for the customer cannot be geocoded. We understand you will still occasionally run into some stops that we just can't get an address on. So I just want to cover that here. One of the ways you can do this is when you're creating a new stop, you can go in and you can literally zoom in to housetops and place a pin on the housetop. Now, I will warn you that it will change the delivery address for that customer. It does not change their primary address. It just adds a delivery address for it, because the system says we cannot find this address. So if you do update with this new geocodable address, you may need to put a note on your driver to check with the actual address in there. The actual address, if it's a new address, or the actual house and street street address for that customer. One of the other places you can see non-geocoded addresses, is in the list view in the service plan. So the first thing it pops to is a map view, and if you toggle the map view, it will show you the list view, and any of those addresses listed in red are not geocoding. So I just want to point that out. The other thing I want to point out is the ability to move multiple customers at one time from one service plan to another service plan. And you can activate that by hitting the little burger type bar here, and that will trigger these selectors. So you can select these customers, and you can literally just drag these customers into a different service plan if you would like. Also, there are different ways you can sort your manifest, and that's by optimize, manual, or customer name. Now, optimize, we're no longer offering optimize to customers who are not using Route for Me. So we're using Route for Me to optimize these stops. So if you don't use Route for Me, you will not see this optimized setting of your service plan. So just be aware of that. If you make a change and to the sort options, you will actually be prompted with this little note letting you know if you move away from the screen, you can't undo the sort of this, but you can certainly revert the sort, which is this button right here this one right here is to revert the sort on the stop order or the stop sort options. That's quickly it. I'll run through. Actually, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to say, Nick, do you and Nick Clayton is also with us. He's our documentation expert, and he's already uploaded the documents for this to our help site. Let me see if I can share with Nick. Actually, you know what? Let me just share my screen, Nick, and I'll let you talk about it in just a second. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So as of sometime this morning, our help page for Delivery Console was updated for some of these new functions, and hopefully we'll be seeing that here. So I just want to bring your attention to this. It's kind of a required setup and usage of Delivery Console. So I'd encourage you to just head to help.spotpost.com and search for Delivery Console. And this will link to lots of other articles. There's also feedback on the bottom of this page that goes directly to me. We're making a real concerted effort at robustness and hardening of documentation. So I encourage you to use that feedback function. And thank you, Wash.
Okay. All right. So that's really the majority of the content I have. I will walk through this instead of using the video. I'll just sort of show you how you can create a manifest, sort of walk through the process. So in this case, I'm going to use today as the day of the route, and I'm going to hit service plan. Sorry, service plan. It's hard breaking old habits. I'm going to hit preview manifest. And when I do that, it pulls up the orders that are supposed to be on the manifest. And you can see here if they have differing promise dates. Obviously, this is an old test database, and we've got some older data in here. I did create some new stuff where you could actually see things that were ready and not ready. In this case, I've got an order that's due on the 26th, and I'm not going to take that order. I'll take the one that's due on the 25th, and I'll prepay that order. Let's look at, let me find another example of some of these. The default is just like we currently have in Delcon. If it is delayed, it is showing on the manifest. So you will actually have to remove a customer if you don't want to go visit them. So this is more like the current functionality. I'll use an example of this. I'll remove Nate, and it will ask you, this customer set for a pickup visit. Are you sure you want to remove them? Let's click OK. So we're going to remove Nate from this manifest. If we prepay, and it will show you it's declined these cards, and so it still stays there for prepayment to allow you to attempt to prepay this again if you would want to. If you don't want to prepay, just skip the prepay button and hit next. And I forgot to point out, let's go back quickly. I forgot to point out at the top here, if you wanted to filter just for declined or failed orders, this is how you could do that. Okay. So next, we have a summary of what's going on here. I have 10 single customers, 1 multi-customer, 1 locker visit, no hotel visits. And here's a breakdown of my orders by stop type. We've got the delayed orders, and most of them belong to single customers. I've got the 1 stop that's not geocoded, so I will geocode that, or I will actually use predictive lookup for this. And here we go, verify. We'll close this. So all stops are geocodable, and I'm actually going to optimize this. Now, one of the things that's on my slide I don't want you to forget to do is turn on allow pop-ups from the URL mydrycleaner.com, and that way Route for Me will just populate on its own. You may need to, first thing in the morning, you'll probably have to sign in for the first route. So just keep your sign in options, probably makes it easiest. That's what I do. Just for an example, I move spot lockers to the top, and it will tell you, it'll give you an idea if you leave at 9, what time you're supposed to be at these customers, or you're predicted to be at these customers. So I changed spot lockers around, so now I'm going to accept the changes, and it's going to print me an additional manifest here. And we're off to create the next manifest or go to a live view if you want to do that. So in this case, you can see the locker being the first stop on the manifest. So with that, I'm going to sort of pause and see if there's any questions.
We did have one question that came in that I already answered, but
Okay.
I'll just announce it for everybody. The question was, is Route for Me only available with Delivery Console? And the answer to that question is yes, it is only available with Delivery Console. It is not available inside of Spot proper. Okay, we have a question from Brittany. Brittany, you may need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah. How does the multi-truck manifest work as far as route track?
Yes, so it will actually print. It will actually, when you go to route track, you'll have different parts to manifest. So if I were to do it's hard to do it for a 10 stop route, but you'll actually have multiple manifests you can choose from on route track.
Does it split up by number of stops or by?
It does. Yes, currently it is by the number of stops, so it gives you equal number of stops. We've been waiting on Route for Me to update it, and they have done that. So be looking in the near future where you'll be able to do a time balance rather than a stop balance.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yep.
Good thing. We also have a question from Don. Go ahead, Don.
Hey, I think we're still using Route Track and looking at Delcon. One of the things we thought was missing in Delcon is just the ability to print a list of customers. Is there a way in Delcon just to print like your route report either by name or stop, or do you have to exit Delcon still and go back into Spot?
Yep, all reports are still in Spot and probably will be for some time. So all you're looking is running a route report that lists I think that's what you're asking, is listing the actual stop. So yeah, that's if you want something printed, then you'll need to go back into Spot and run a report for it. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we have a question from Wendy. Wendy, I'm not able to unmute you, but I do see that you put your question in the questions pane. When do these features roll out?
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a good.
The golden question.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different. We're doing some things a little bit different with as far as how we're getting new features out to someone, to our users. So in this case, we wanted to give you a webinar first to let you see the new features. And I will tell you, we've done a little bit of usability testing because I knew we'd schedule the webinar, and you guys are the great users of the product. You showed up. You were interested, you showed up to learn about the product. So I wasn't worried about you. I'm worried about the driver that's never given this information when something changes. So we actually turned this on for a couple people. I talked to the owners. We didn't say anything to the drivers, and they're using it with no problem. Now, they probably don't know how to remove customers or remove delayed orders or things like that, but they're able to use the product without any issue whatsoever. We were quite proud of that. We think we made a drastic leap in how the product functions in usability. And this is sort of the first thing you're seeing from we have a new UI UX, which is sort of a computer word for how the software works. And so this was sort of his first little baby, and I think it's turned out quite well myself. If you would like to get early access, just email info@spotpause.com. We'll be turning this on. We'll certainly email you prior to turning this on across the board. It'll probably be the second week in April right now is when we'll turn it on for all customers.
Okay. We have a question from Kathy. In your service plans in Delcon, should we now have the sort options as optimize or manual? I'm not sure I completely follow that one. I'm not sure if, yeah, go ahead.
It's completely up to you. So manual means this is the order that you're going to want these to run in. If you want to optimize it, that's going to rearrange your orders most likely for what Route for Me thinks is the best order of stops. If you do have your stops in optimized order, whenever you insert a new customer, it will attempt to find the best spot for them. If you don't have it in optimized and you have it in manual, then you'll need to manually move the order that you want. So we want to give you the ability to move the customers in the order that you want to visit them, but also have the fallback ability to use the computer and let it generate what it thinks is the best order. And you can toggle back and forth with that. Just don't leave the screen, or just if you leave the screen, that is the new route order you're going to be in. And I will tell you that I see a lot of people now organizing their routes in name order. And what that does is when the orders come off the conveyor or come through production and the invoice is printed out, the stop order is in alphabetical. So you don't have to do any sort of sorting, just follow the stop order. And when you're putting them away, and when the drivers get there today and you're running optimized routes, they'll know where the customer's close are, instead of having to remember what was their original route stop name or route stop position. They just know they're just looking for stuff in alphabetical order. So I think that that's a growing trend among delivery console users, is having the sort order be organized by name, so you know where to go and look for the customer's orders. And I will tell you, just so I'm not sure everyone's aware, I actually am a dry cleaner and use the system each and every day. So really able to give some feedback as far as how it works operationally. Did that answer your question, Kathy? I think that's where you were going. Anyone else, Spencer? Anyone else have anything? So I'm not sure if I lost Spencer or not.
I don't see any other. I do have. It says kind of. I'll get. Okay, yeah. So she's gonna get a hold of one of us after, or yeah,
Okay.
you can certainly email us after this, Kathy. You can email webinar@spotpos.com or info@spotpos.com if you want to get some increased clarity on that question. Anybody else have any questions? Nicole, I see you lurking. Not sure if you have anything to add. I'm sure people would just love to hear your voice anyway. Guess not.
Probably multitasking. Okay, well,
As
Spencer,
usual.
that's all I had for today's webinar. Look for these in the future. Not sure exactly how often these will be running these, but certainly be running them on a regular basis.
And
So
yes, you
thank
should be receiving a recording of this webinar once this has concluded. I am also going to be putting a video of this webinar up on our YouTube page. So youtube.com/spotpos media, that will be up before the end of the day. All right. Well, thank you. We definitely appreciate everybody's time and attention. We're very excited for these changes. I think this is going to be the culmination of a lot of hard work, both from us and from your feedback. We always appreciate that. And we certainly hope to see you in future webinars. You can always check out our full webinar schedule at if you go to the Spot. It's at spotpos.com/academy, or you can go to spotpos.com and we have a link to the academy right there on the main page. Otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful day, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.